Hello, welcome. Thanks for being around. Thank you again for being around with us in this class. Now, we already started with sodium, the mineral. Dietary sodium, we looked at the historical perspective, we looked at sources of sodium, we looked at function, absorption, metabolism. Today, we draw the curtain on sodium by considering the deficiency symptoms, and also would conclude by doing a summary. Now, in order to catch up, you want to go to the previous videos. Please do like and share if you gain value, and subscribe so you get more of this kind of quality videos. Very instructive, very educating. Thank you so much for staying tuned. Now let's delve into what we have today. We have the deficiency symptoms of sodium. Now, we've already seen that it's difficult to talk about sodium without referring to salt. Very, very crucial. As a matter of fact, the large portion of sodium ingested in the body is through the salt, and it's the common salt, the table salt. Now, let's go in quickly. Now, it's called, the deficiency symptom is called Hyponatremia. Very simple. Now, if you've been following this, my teachings, you discover that I've always emphasized that many scientific terms are got or derived by joining prefixes, suffixes to root words, and if you're able to separate them, to sever them, you know what this means, know what this means, know what this means, you can get the total meaning. So let's look at it now. We're looking at sodium deficiency. This is hypo, like I've said, it means hyponatremia. That's the name for deficiency syndrome for sodium. But hypo, I've said, means low level. Now, nat, supposed to be here. Nat means is from the Latin name of sodium. Sodium is English, natrium is a new Latin name, so it is from natrium that the symbol is got with the radical one, because that it loses one electron. So this is natrium, so low level of sodium. Amia means in the blood. So if you put them together, you see low level sodium in the blood. So you put them together, low level of sodium in the blood. Now, why are we talking about doing it in reference to the blood? Because the blood is so crucial. Nutrients, hormones, enzymes, antibodies are carried. Your drug dissolves and is absorbed, and the blood carries them. It's all carried by the blood. So if you want to talk about anything fluid that is in, whether taken to other parts of the body, from the blood, genetic materials, the blood, water. As a matter of fact, the blood is over 70% blood. In fact, over 80% blood, over 80% water. So now let's go ahead. Now, deficiency symptom of sodium is actually not common, as long as a person takes the regular food, balanced diet. You would definitely have, because when we looked at the sources of the sodium, we looked at getting sodium from your meat, from your egg, from your fish, even vegetables, you get them there. Especially also with incorporated into canned food, baked food, you have salt in them. So this usually a rare condition. Now, rarely occurs but whenever it occurs, it's due to the fact that a person have either sweated so much because of high sporting activity or high work rate, or the person have a prolonged diarrhea, stooling for a very long time, and vomiting, loss of water. Now, when you stool for a long time, you're not just losing water, you're losing electrolyte, ions, and the other metal minerals. And also there's a kidney disorder, so ultrafiltration by the kidney is actually impaired, so it also can affect the level of sodium in the body. So instead of the body reabsorbing sodium ion, is actually letting them out via urine Now that can be a problem, leading to hyponatremia and also overhydration. In this case now is the reverse, where you now have overly too much water in the blood, overhydration. In respect to the balance of water to ion or sodium ion, is water is now having so much, so you now begin to have this condition. Then let's go straight to the actual deficiency symptoms. Number one is nausea, a feeling like you want to vomit, So when the person is having all these things combined, not one or two, you have them all combined. Like we talked about diseases of poultry, some diseases, some ailments are about the same. So you have to look at 3, 4, 5 of them. If all this is there, you can pinpoint and say, no, this is actually this ailment, this is actually this ailment. Especially the viral diseases of poultry, most of them have the same presentation. So you're affecting the central nervous system and the other. So you have to look at them. So before you jump into conclusion that it's a sodium deficiency, you must have at least 3 or 4 or 5 of these problems, or these symptoms, being evident. So you see a sign, nausea, you feel like vomiting, and there's headache. There's also confusion. You're not so very well coordinated in your thinking. Now another thing could be fatigue and muscle weakness. Why? Let's go back to the functions of sodium. Sodium helps in muscle contraction. So when you begin to see weakness and the muscles are not, in addition to this forceps, in addition to this and this, is part of it. Feeling like vomiting. And then there are seizures, still closely related to weakness of muscle. The muscle is not contracting. Sodium plays vital roles in that. So once that is seen, also you can be saying, okay, it's getting closer to this. Now, especially in severe cases where there's hyponatremia. Then there's also coma, where a person can even faint and even can lead to death when the levels of calcium drops drastically. Now these are, especially when the person has lost water through excess sweating, kidney, there is ultrafiltration not happening because the kidney is affected. Now these are problems of this. Now to this end, we'll be drawing the curtain to deficiency symptoms. But before we draw the curtain entirely for today's class, let's just go briefly on to what we've done previously. We've done the historical perspective of sodium, that sodium had been known for a very long time. Man have eaten sodium from salt. Salt, so very important that it's from the name sal, a meaning like salary, sal. So important that even in idiomatic talk, say something is worth its salt. Very important. So important it's related to salary, like from the Latin word salary. So sal, S-A-L, salary. So important that it actually determined trade routes in the ancients, and also determined wars also. Salt, so important, called white gold. Now the ancients also discovered it was very useful in preserving their food and also enhanced the taste of their food. Now we also now looked at the sources of it. You get salt from table salt, that will eat the common salt, sodium chloride, and also you get from meat, fish, you get from bone, and also dairy products. You also get from spinach, from other plant tissues. Now functions of sodium, it helps in contraction of the muscles, it helps in maintaining body fluid balance, electrolyte balance in the body, also helps in nerve impulse transmission, helps excellent for that. Now we looked at the absorption of sodium. Sodium is absorbed in the small intestine, just like potassium and phosphorus, and it's actually helped by certain hormones going to metabolism now, aldosterone and antidiuretic hormone, ADH. Now, in also metabolism, we looked at the function of the kidney. Ultrafiltration happens, and also reabsorption of sodium happens there. Sweat also helps to regulate the quantity of sodium in the body. Very, very important, otherwise there will be problem. If it's too much, you have hyponatremia. If it's too low, you have hyponatremia. And then today we looked at the deficiency already, like we have it's a rare condition. When it occurs usually when the person has lost too much sodium through sweating, deficiency functions of the non-optimal functioning of the kidney, ultrafiltration and reabsorption is not properly done, and then prolonged diarrhea and vomiting. And the signs: nausea, fatigue, seizures, and in very severe cases you have coma or even death. Thank you so much. If you have questions, please let us know. If you have a contribution, still let us know. Thank you so much for being around. Let's see you again. Thank you.